What's up, After Buzzers? Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Being Mary Jane After Show. I'm your host, Joshua Johnson. Find me and follow me on social media at JJ the Talented. Also, find and follow AfterBuzz TV. And if you're following along and commenting with tonight's episode, be sure and use the hashtag ABTVBMJ. Tonight was the season finale of season 3, and it did not disappoint. Now, what I like about this show, what I love about this show, is the fact that Mara Brock Akil, who is the writer and creator of Being Mary Jane, uses real events, real things that we're going through in our country and in our society. She uses that and interweaves it into each episode of the show. And tonight, she did the same thing when talking about race relations in the form of interracial relationships, and also talked about police brutality, how that was covered in the episode as well. Now, as far as race relations, interracial relationships, we see that Mary Jane has been dating Eddie, aka the white boy, for the past few episodes, which is a little bit curious because she got on David, her ex, for dating and getting Anna pregnant, who is his model girlfriend who he has the baby with. This is a rather juxtaposition here because she went out of her way to say, hey, how could you, date her and, go outside of your race to date her? And then, she dating a white boy. Now, David, I mean, he's half white anyway, so what does it matter? And she's doing the same thing, so what does it matter in her case? But what I don't get is 2016 and the fact that interracial relationships are still kind of a hot button issue. People are still talking about it. There's still a stigma about it. You know, I just don't get it. And the reason it hits home with me is the fact that I grew up in a diverse community and I appreciate diversity in my relationships and in my friendship circle. I personally have dated outside of my race before, and I've encountered the same type of, I don't want to really say the word hate, but the same type of, people saying things about it. People saying, well, why come you're not dating someone black? Or the fact that people give you looks and stares, and they always have something to say about it. But I'm thinking, like, why are we doing that this day and age? I mean, we're all human. We all bleed red. Love is love. If you love someone, what's wrong with that? Why do they have to be the same race as you? Why do I have to go into, go around black people with my non-black girlfriend and have them stare at me or ask questions or give me crazy looks and all that for what? What does it accomplish? And so I like the fact that it was brought up in this episode, and we see that Greg, who is the producer at SMC, he wanted to exploit the issue for ratings because he knows as well it's a hot button issue, and he exploited it for ratings for the talkback episode. And so we see that interracial relationships is still a big thing. People still feel some kind of way about it. I'm not sure why, but what do you think? Use the hashtag ABTVBMJ and let me know what you feel about interracial relationships. Are you in an interracial relationship? Have you encountered some kind of adversity from being diverse in your relationship? Let us know about that. Now, also, what we talked about in tonight's episode, what was covered in tonight's episode, was police brutality. Niecy was pulled over. A traffic stop made by the police. She was pulled over along with her children in the car, and we see how that escalated rather quickly. Now, the thing that is probably going to get you guys tweeting and probably going to get you guys jumping at me is the fact that, okay, the scene ended with Niecy being tased and falling to the ground. But in between her getting stopped and her getting tased, I'm sorry, I honestly feel like she kind of brought it on herself. Now, we see that Niecy, in past episodes, sometimes she's soft spoken and she doesn't stick up for herself, and then sometimes she does stick up for herself. In this particular situation, Niecy, you should have remained quiet. You should have just been quiet. You should have complied with what the cop said, what he asked. You should have handed him your license and registration without any huffing and puffing. Your children are in the car. You don't have to go out of your way to show and cop an attitude. And furthermore, she seemed like she was going to roll up. She was rolling up the window and about to drive away. You just don't do that when you're in the presence of a police officer in the middle of a traffic stop and he's pulling you over to, give you a ticket or whatever. You just don't do that. Niecy, what were you thinking? So I feel like, I'm not gonna say the cop was justified in doing what he did, but I feel like, hey, you kind of brought it on yourself with the whole attitude that you copped with the cop. So, I don't know. Once again, what do you say? Because I feel like she was to blame What do you say about it? Use the hashtag ABTVBMJ. That's all we can cover in this episode. Make sure you find me and follow me at JJ the Talented. Follow AfterBuzz, and we will buzz you later.